Okay, so let's talk about deformers. Um, I'll just directly demonstrate it to you. So of course, in using deformers, we will need objects to be deformed. So first off, let me create a cylinder. I'll just click and drag to create one. So just be reminded that I am on interactive creation mode. That's why I'm doing it on a click and drag procedure. After I have created the cylinder, I'll just go back to my channel box. In the channel box, in the inputs, you can see the cylinder inputs. You just add here, let's say, 10 segments in the height subdivision. Huh? Height subdivision. So that means the subdivisions of the height here. So it will add edges and vertices there. Okay, next is after I have added those, I will just go to my move tool and let's say I'll just click here on this x-axis, hold shift and drag there. So now I have a duplicate of it and then I will just press shift D to repeat it and have at least 3 copies. So I will have a total of 4 cylinders. Next is I will just hide. I'll hide the other trees. So I'll just select all of them, Control H to hide. And let's focus on this first cylinder. And then I will now go to the procedure of adding a deformer on this. So to add a deformer, I'll just go and select the cylinder. I'll go to deform and then I'll go to the non-linear types and then I'll select this to separate it or have it on a floating window there, or a floating tab if you will. Now, with my non-linear deformers available, I can now have this still object selected and I'll just click bend. So as you can see in the outliner, a deformer has been listed. A bend or a deformer handle has been listed, namely bend. And in my channel box also, the inputs are showing the bend deformers inputs. Okay, now to reveal the manual controls of the bend deformer, I will just press letter T. No? T as in 10. No? And then you will see these 3 points. No? Wherein first I'll just select the middle control and I'll start dragging it. Let me just go to the side view or the side or here at the front view, sorry. And then I'll just drag it so that you can see that as I drag this forward, the bend starts. Let me turn on the edges and faces mode view and then so that you can see how the topology is also being affected. So this is the bend control, or this is the what we call the curvature of the bend, that middle portion there, that middle control there. And then the top is the bound, or these are the top and bottom bounds. The bounds simply means the limitations, no? Up to where the bend will occur or will be affected. So let's say I don't want it to bend here on the top portion. So I can just drag this and start dragging it down. This is the top bound control. So that means it will not have any bend, no, as I start dragging it down. But as I drag it up, the bend will continue. As an indicator there. I can turn on my see-through mode so you can see how the bend is being manipulated. Let's turn back to solid view. So same case with the bottom. Yeah. let's say we would like to bend it this way, and then, oops, sorry, I'll go back to the bend handle if you have it deselected, and then I can just select this and keep on bending. Next is I can also, while I'm on the bend manipulator or handle, I can also use the rotate tool. And as you can see, I can rotate the whole bend handle. And if I do so, there will be an effect on the object itself. Okay, so that means you can also distort or bend objects in this manner by mainly manipulating the bend handle itself. So it will still have, or the deformer handle will still have an effect on the object as you move it. Diba? So that is your bend. Now, question is, what else can we do with the bend? For example, can we mix it up with the modeling toolkit? I'll try. I'll select the modeling toolkit, and then I'll select my object, and then I'll just go to my, let's say, face or polygon selection. I'll just select one of the faces, double click the next, so it will create that round selection. And then I can press R to scale, hold shift and do an extrude. And as you can see, yes, modeling procedures are still applicable even though you are having the object, or even though you are applying deformers or deformation to the object. So it is still applicable. I can also press number 3, and you will see that it also smoothens, or the bend is also smoothened. Pressing 1, selecting this, double click, oops, sorry, selecting this next one, oops, double click, R, scale, shift, and extrude. So it's just repetitive and similar still. The procedure doesn't change in terms of modeling polygonally, no? And the bend is an additional source for deformations, or at least the forming of the object. I'll go back to the bend handle. I can turn on my see-through mode. Let's press letter T to bring out the manipulators, and I can still keep on adjusting it. So it doesn't stop, right? You can still have the option of adjusting the bend as long as the handles are present. But let's say I would like the bend effect to take on permanently, or to be permanently applied to the object. Because for example, let's try and delete the bend, and it becomes like this. So that means the bend effect has been removed, right? So what I will do next is this. I would like this bend deformation effect be permanently applied to my object. So the next thing that you will do is you'll just select the object itself, go to the edit menu, choose delete by type, history, and as you can see here, the bend manipulator has been deleted. It's part of the history. So the bend manipulator has been deleted, and the effect is permanently there on your object. So that's how you use a nonlinear deformer, no? Or that's how you make a nonlinear deformer effect permanent. Okay? So that's for the bend. Let's try here, Shift H. Let's hide the other one, Control H. This time, let's use the flare. I'll click, no, flare, deformer, and then I'll just press the letter T to bring out the controls of that deformer. So again, if you will go to your channel box, you will see there, again here, the low bounds and high bounds, which means the limitations. So I will just first, again, try to drag this middle portion here, and you will see how it bulges or how it leans in. That's one of the features of the flare. And then let's try this one. You can see you can distort it, let's say on the x axis. That's the x distortion, and then the z distortion or the z flare. So this is like tapering. So you can actually taper, no, manipulate the tip ends of your model or of your object. Again, you can apply this not on just a basic object such as a cylinder, but you can directly apply it to your models. Now, let's say here, I will also use or I will also drag the limits. So it will start to have a limit where the, let's say, the curvature is being applied. As you can see, the limit here now is also limited. The limit is just stopping the curvature, but it is not stopping the distortion. Okay, earlier, the bend is being limited or being bound, while here, it is only the curvature, but still, you can do some distortions. Okay, again, the flare handle is still manipulable with the rotate tool or even the move tool. It depends on just how you will be using it or how you are required or what you are required with your model. So let's say if I use also the rotate tool, it gives a different distortion. Okay? Mhm. Still, also the same. If I want this to be applied permanently, I can go to my edit, delete by type history. Then I will have that permanently applied. Okay, so that is for your, let's say, flare. So let's hide that. Let's get on to the third cylinder. Press Shift H. And then here for the squash. Sorry, for the sine. There. Now I have applied the sine. I'll press letter T once more. There it is. And let's find out how the sine works. I'll just select this middle portion, and then as you can see, that is our amplitude. Amplitude is like the amount of waves that will be available here or the bending of the waves. No? And then let us try and adjust this portion. This is the wavelength. So it adds the amount of waves that can be added here. Now this will depend on the amount of segments or subdivisions that you have provided your objects initially. But can I still add? That's a question. Can I still add subdivisions to the object even though that I have already applied a modifier or sorry, a deformer? I'll select this. I'll go back to my inputs, and as you can see, it's a bit permanent for now. But let's go back to the sign. Sorry, let's go back to the object. If I press number 3, a subdivision, no, automated subdivision is still possible initially in the views. Okay, so let's go back to the sign, and then let us try do some more editing such as the bounds here. As you can see, the bounds are still the same. It limits the sine's effect. So I can limit that there. Mhm. And also, I can rotate it or use my basic tools for this. Diba? And just like earlier, I can go here, do my polygons, still do my effects, shift click drag, scale R. No, so it's still editable in means of polygonal editing. No, and to permanent or to have the effect in permanent, or to have the effect or to have it take effect permanently, I can just go to edit, delete by type history, and the sign is removed. Okay, so that's for your sign. Control H, select the fourth one, Shift H, and let's apply the squash modifier. So in the squash modifier, or sorry, squash deformer, I'll just press letter T. And as you can see here, yeah, you can squash it or you can squeeze it. No, that's what you can do with the squash modifier or deformer, sorry. And then I can limit the squash area, either top or bottom bounds. It will give me a different form also. There. So that's for your squash. Okay, still the same. If you're wondering, you can still have it edited with the modeling toolkit, and you can still make the effect permanent with your delete by type history. Oops, sorry. Be in object mode when you are doing that. Edit, delete by type history. There. Okay, now we go to the twist. Now, sorry. I may have applied this to the same type of object. Meaning I may have applied it to cylinder. But I advise you to apply it on different objects. No? So you can see the different effects. For example, this time I'll create a box. And with this box, I'll go to my channel box. Let's type in there, let's say 15. There, no? 15 segments or subdivisions in all dimensions, length, width, and height. Okay, length, depth, and height. So all of the subdivisions are been given an input of 15. Next, after I have that, the thing that I will do this time is I'll apply a deformer called twist. There. Let's turn on our manipulators by pressing letter T. And then you can see that there's a handle here. The handle itself, no, you can just click and drag that, and that means it will allow you to twist the object, no, that is with the twist deformer. And then again, the bounds or the limits, you can easily click them and drag them up or down so that the twisting can be limited accordingly. Diba? So that is your twist modifier or deformer, sorry, deformer. Okay? Yeah. So let's say we're done with the twist deformer. That is still, of course, can be remodeled by a modeling toolkit, and you can still deform it also on your own, right? So you can still do some more remodeling deformities on it manually, I mean. And I can press number 3 to have it in smooth view. So that means still it is, or it can be added, or it can be smoothened via subdivisions. Only this time automated subdivisions. Next, oops, sorry for that. After the twist, let's hide all of these and let's create another object. This time, I'll create a plane. So I'll modify, or I'll just edit the plane in channel box. Let's go for 50 on all dimensions. And also let's go for 50 in all subdivisions. And with those 50s there, let us add a deformer, or let us add the wave deformer here. So there's your wave deformer. Let's turn on the controllers or manipulators by pressing letter T. And here it is. I'll drag first the middle parts. Okay, so I adjusted that size, no, of the radius. And then from here, okay, so now with this resized, I will try and click this middle part and start dragging it up or down, and you will see what takes effect. So that is again your amplitude, the height of the wave, and then here, the wavelength. Let's say here, okay, the wavelength, and then the drop off where it ends, or the maximum radius. So those are your controls. Oops, sorry. I'll go back to my wavelength, and there it is. Now, you can also manipulate this with the move tool. So sometimes it makes you wonder which one is really being deformed. Is it really the object or the space that the object occupies? Right? So that is your wave. But and also I think this more looks like this is more of a ripple. At least for me, no. This effect. But it is still wavy. So for example, I have this done, and then I can go back here into my object mode, edit, delete by type, history. So it is now permanently applied. Ah, okay. So that is our wave deformer. Let me hide the rest. Sorry, let me unhide the rest of the objects that I have used. Um, who is using the I'll just edit because I still see the twist, no? So edit, delete by type history, the twist now is gone. Okay, so one last. Let me just select all of these again and hide it. Shouldn't have unhide that. Because one last, no? Let's create another, let's say, spear. Here's the spear. And then this spear, with this spear, I will add another deformer that is not within the list. So that means it's not a nonlinear deformer. It is going to be from this. I'll close this. I'll select the spear. I'll go to my deform. And this time, I will choose Lattice. Clicking Lattice. And there you have it. Now, what is lattice? Okay. Lattice allows us to distort the objects, no, that are within it. So this is a lattice, or you can call it also an FFD box or a freeform deformable box. No? I can edit this box by going to my channel box, go to the inputs, and as you can see here, the FFD or freeform deformable lattice shape, you have the following subdivisions. Okay, the S or the side subdivisions are 2. So that means ito yun, these corners, 1 and 2. If I turn them into 3, they will have 1, 2, 3 corners. I can do it also the same at the other side, 3. Now let's reduce this 5 subdivisions here, the top and bottom subdivisions. Let's also turn it to 3. Now with those, no, you can now do your deformations. I can right click the lattice and I can choose lattice point. And then with that, I can select those points, make them active, and then I can start pulling or pushing in. And deformations will start. I can also deselect this portion, and I can drag this. I can use the scale tool and further deform it, W or move tool, so that I have or I can do movements, no, depending on the requirement of my model or reference. Here, and then drag them. So as you can see there, the lattice allows us to distort. Now, right click, I'll go back to object mode. What is the difference? Let's say I'll just clone copy this sphere, and then, oops, sorry, it is still being applied with lattice. So I'll just create another sphere there. Now, this is just to show you the difference between um, a lattice with few, few divisions compared to a lattice. Let's go to deform, lattice, and then let's add some more. Let's also turn this into 5 and 5. Okay? Now, if you have a lattice or lattice with this amount of subdivisions, if you switch to the lattice point, you will have lesser vertices to control. See, it will be too particular. No? Because once you have another set of vertices or lattice points here, so that means it is going to be limiting the movement or control of vertices these lattice points have. No, it will only be up to this point. And since they are close to each other, also this point is limited to here. But it depends. I'm just showing you the difference, no? The difference between this one with lesser, you get more control of vertices, while this one with more, you get a fewer vertex control. So it depends on what you need. If you want to be more refined in detailing, maybe you can use this. But if you are just starting to form out an object, maybe you can use a lesser amount of lattice points. Okay? Anyways, the lattice points are adjustable. But, for example, if I turn this lattice points into 3, and then 3, oops, sorry, it will not be allowed anymore. Let's go back to object mode, select the lattice, and let's turn that into 3. See, it will not be allowed because you have already made some divisions. Okay, you can re-add new ones, or you can create a new set of lattice by going to edit, delete by type history. So first off, that lattice is going to be, I'll select the object, edit, delete by type history, then that lattice has been deleted, therefore allowing you to add a new lattice deformer here. And let's say you will prefer a lesser amount of lattice points. Let's have them all in 3. And then the lattice points there. So you have greater control on this type naman. Okay? So with that, those are the 5 deformers, no? That we can use in our modeling. Okay, so with that, I leave you with this question because the obvious thing is we have added a deformer, or let me bring them all out. So we have added deformers, no, for every object. So that means one object contains one deformer or was partnered with one deformer. Okay, so it's like a 1:1 ratio. But what if, no, I will leave you with this question to explore. What if we combine, or can we combine two or more deformers? Def means deformers. Two or more deformers to one object. Or two or more objects will share one deformer. Or two or more deformers to be added to two or more objects. Try doing that combinations as you work on these deformers. Okay? With that, I'll see you on the next video.